Greetings. My name is Patrick McCoy. I am 25 years old. I have depression. I have severe depression. I have. I've never told anybody about this except for one or two very select friends. Two actually. Um, and I am making this video for myself, not for anyone else. Selfish as that might sound, I'm doing it to help myself push past these thoughts, these empty emotions, this pain that never goes away. So if you're watching this video, thank you. You don't have to. But if you do suffer from depression, I hope that this video can motivate you as much as I want it to motivate myself to improve and possibly get through it. I have had depression since I was a very little kid. And depression it's not just a state of sadness that most people seem to interpret it as. You know, like a sad moment happens, like, oh man, I'm depressed. I guess that is kind of a term for feeling sad, but clinical depression is much worse, much more life-changing, much more destructive, and a lot of people underestimate depression. Some symptoms that depression can show is difficulty concentrating, remembering details, or even making decisions. All three of those affect my life greatly. I can't concentrate on a lot of things. I lose focus really easily on anything that doesn't pull me out of reality, which is the only thing that really does that is video games. And I know a lot of people that know me will probably shake their head and say, what a typical answer for Patrick to say. But I'm going to be completely honest. Video games are probably the one reason why I haven't attempted suicide or done a lot more drastic things. Because it helps me to cope, and it helps me to distance myself from these emotions and these hateful feelings, the sense of worthlessness and self-hate. Let's continue on. I'll explain things as we go. Another thing is fatigue and decreased energy. This is something that if you watch my streams, you'll know that no matter what time I stream, whether it's 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m., or midnight, I'm always yawning. I'm always feeling tired. Even when I'm not, playing games or streaming, it totally, I don't feel like I have the energy to do anything. I could just sit on a couch all day and not do anything. It'd still feel exhausted. Another symptom is feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness, and this is probably the most well-known symptoms. Also, hopelessness and pessimism. It's that kind of feeling when you wake up in the morning and you look up at the ceiling and you're sitting there staring and you think, I've got this, and this to do today, and you think, I need to get up and do it. But just as soon as you think, I need to get up and do it, you start thinking, why? What's the point? There's no way that someone like me can accomplish it. Every step of the way, every thought you get, you think, I'm just gonna fail. There's no way I can finish it. There's no way I could do it. I'm just gonna disappoint everybody. It overwhelms you to the point that you lose all motivation, you lose all determination, you lose it all. You can't, like, you lay there for 30 minutes, an hour, trying to find some form of motivation, and you can't. You feel worthless. You really feel like you can't do anything. Everything you do, you're just gonna fail. Some other symptoms are insomnia, early morning wakefulness, or excessive sleeping. I have excessive sleeping. Everybody knows this. I cannot. I mean, I can wake up early. Sometimes, it kind of flip-flops, but I don't think I can ever get enough sleep. I sleep for very long periods of time, and I can wake up at a proper time and just fall right back asleep. Irritability and restlessness. This is very common. At least for me. I am very irritable whenever it comes to anything that can be even slightly sensitive to anything about me. I can become very irritable very quick, even though I'm a very calm, nice, and understandable person. Sometimes, a lot of the time, my irritation levels just go through the roof in an instant. I'm very restless. I have to be doing something, even when I'm tired. I can't just sit around and do nothing, or else I start getting in my own head. I can't have the time to sit in my own head, where things go south very fast. So I always have to be doing something. I get very restless. I always have to be occupied. I always do. It's something you have to do. Lots of interest in activities or hobbies once pleasurable, including sex. Anybody who knows me, I still love and play sports, but I no longer really have an interest in doing so. When I was a kid, I played baseball, basketball, football, on top of video games, and doing lots of other things. And pretty much, aside from video games, I've lost interest in everything. I've lost an interest in doing anything that I once enjoyed, and it's not something that you see now. It's something that you would see through my entire life as a child, growing up. My loss of interest in pretty much every sport or hobby I ever had, aside from just sitting at home playing video games, because, as I said before, that video games was the one thing that was able to get me out of my head. It was able to pull me away. As much as people say it might be bad, it's not. It is able to pull me away from reality in order to that one moment of reprise where I could not have these feelings, these empty, hurtful feelings for myself. Overeating or appetite loss. I eat a lot. Everybody will say this. I always eat a lot. I every 2-3 hours I can feel hungry. Um, I've eaten a lot throughout my entire life. Persistent aches or pains, headaches, cramps, or digestive problems that do not ease with treatment. I've never told anyone um, about any aches or pains I've had, because I was never too sure if it was for depression or something else. Um, for even now, I don't know if it's because of depression or something else, but I will get aches in my jaws. It can be random, um, but they don't go away no matter what you can try and do. Sometimes I can go a week without feeling it, and then the next couple days, I can get feeling hurt. These painful stings in my jaws, my chest, my back, and it's not like it feels like it's more internal than it does like actually on the surface. It feels like something inside just starts hurting, and like in my back area it can start hurting, inside, not at my actual back. um and the only thing that helps to relieve the pain is, surprisingly enough, eating. I can eat if I eat. If I swallow something, the pain will temporarily kind of go away. If I swallow a drink or food, it will temporarily go away. It'll come back in the next few minutes, but it temporarily makes it disappear. Um, Persistent, sad, anxious, or empty feelings. I think I pretty much covered this with the feelings of guilt, worthlessness, and helplessness. Persistent, just total, always unhappy, um, always scared. Every time I'm sitting at home doing my thing and I see that it's 4 o'clock, I start getting extremely anxious, scared, worried that my mom's gonna come home, and one day, or just she's gonna come home, she's gonna find that one thing, or she's gonna have a bad day at work and she's gonna come home and she's gonna take it out on me, on my sister. She's just gonna start yelling and screaming, and all it does is make things worse. It escalates those anxious, those self-hateful feelings to another level. It really hurts. I know that she doesn't mean it. She doesn't intend to be that way. She has an extremely short temper, but it really hurts. Thoughts of suicide and suicide attempts. I have not yet reached the suicide attempt part. As I've said, video games have been a very big part of what has relieved the stress that I have felt. The anxiousness, the sadness, the emptiness, the worthlessness, the self-hate. To say that I have had thoughts of suicide would be an understatement. I would say at least once a day, I've had thoughts of what it would be like if I didn't live anymore. At least once a day, sometimes more. Um, I can sit there and think what would change if I died. And I look at all this stuff and it's like, well, nothing would technically be affected. And I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. And I don't mean to sound in any way boastful or selfish, but I am a smart individual. I'm pretty smart. Um I know what suicide does. I've had friends and family die, and I know the emotions that comes with it. And I know that if I was to commit suicide, it's not that nothing would happen. It would devastate other people. Um my friends, my family, and when it devastates them, that affects their lives with their friends and family, and it's a big chain cycle that snowballs. It can snowball for some people. Um, so no, I'm not stupid, and I don't think I would ever attempt. But who know that that can change at any time. I can't see the future. I can't see what's going to happen. But I will say that as much as I am afraid and scared of myself, I am not afraid or scared of death. Uh, the thought of dying does not scare me. It does not make me run. If anything, it feels more welcoming. And I'm not saying this that I'm going to try anything, but when I think about death, it doesn't feel like something I should be afraid of. It doesn't feel like something that I need to constantly escape from. I think that if something was to happen right now and there was no way out and I was going to die, I wouldn't feel scared. I wouldn't feel terrified. I wouldn't feel much of anything, honestly. I wouldn't um sorry. I wouldn't feel, I don't know how to describe it. It would feel welcoming more than anything else. How my depression started. I know that this video, I didn't think it was going to be this long. I thought I would maybe have finished it up by now, but I guess it's going to be a long video. So if you're going to watch, please make sure you have the time for it. Don't put anything off that you need to put off. This video's not going anywhere. I plan on using it for myself to watch myself and motivate myself. And I plan on sharing it with others so that maybe they can be motivated, and that I can share with my friends and family so they're aware of who I am, of why I do what I do. So how it all started, I don't specifically know how it all started, but I do know certain parts of how it built up over time. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old. I believe this was the start of it, but it was very light at the time. It wasn't life affecting. I was 2, so I never knew what it was like to have a stable family. I was always torn between my mom and my dad. It was like a constant war. Even though my dad, when they divorced, said that we should live with my mom, that we should stay with my mom, it wasn't really that simple. And for the rest of my life, I would be in this tug of war between my mother and my father. I'd always have to listen to them talk bad about each other. I would always have to listen to them say that this is bad or this is good, and then the other say the opposite. It was, for a kid, it's very hard to know what's actually right and wrong. I would go to my dad's house and I would be told that one of my favorite hobbies, again, video games, was worthless. It was a waste of time. That it was not something that would ever amount to anything. I could that if I if I played video games that I would become stupid. I would um all these negative things about it. And then when I go to my mom's, I'm told that video games are okay, that they're not stupid. Um, and it was hard because no matter I would be constantly going back and forth because I'd have to visit my father and then go back to my mom and then visit my father and go back to my mom, and it was really confusing for just a little kid, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, trying to figure out what what's right and what's wrong and what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. And it makes you emotionally unstable. Um, it really does. As people might think that not, but it really does, because it's something that you love, and when you're constantly being told different things by different people all the time, that especially people that you look up to, like my dad. He's a great dad. Don't get me wrong. I love him to death. But there were some things that just didn't seem like. Even now, I can go visit him, and he'll ask, how things are going, and I hesitate to tell him about me streaming, because I've been told for so long by him and that side of the family that it's worthless, that it's stupid, and it's, as much as I want to talk about it, it's not easy to do it with that side of the family. But moving on, it's already been 25 minutes. I gotta speed through this a bit more. When I reached 10 years old, I had a little sister. So to explain where this part kind of goes, when I was a little kid, I would I wouldn't really say wake up. I would go to my dad's, and then I would come home from my mom, and my mom would always have some kind of present for me. I don't know if it was her way of trying to win me over against my father or not, but she always had something, some kind of gift or present when I returned home from my dad's. And when I turned 10, she became pregnant with my little sister. He's no longer my stepfather, but he was my stepfather at the time. And excuse me, I'm gonna have to cut some of this, but it was very sudden, and it was something I had grown used to as a kid. That every time I came home, there would be something for me. I would get excited, I'd be like, "Yay! I got this, I got that." And then when she got pregnant, it just suddenly stopped. And as a kid, 10-year-old kid, you don't understand why, the expenses for a new, kid or anything like that. But it just stopped. And for the next few times I went to my dad's, I would get excited for a new present, for something new. And when I get home, there's nothing. And then the next time there was nothing, and then the next time there was nothing, and then there was nothing, and then there was nothing. And it began to make me feel unwanted. It began to make me feel like there was not, there was no time for me anymore, that I wasn't cared about. And I know that's not true. But as a 10-year-old kid, even then I knew it wasn't true, but it still made me feel that way. It still made me feel like I wasn't worth it, that I no longer was wanted. None of it was ever explained to me why it stopped, why I couldn't get any more presents. It just stopped. And so I started to feel like I wasn't wanted. And my grades in school began to drop. I began to seclude myself a bit more, and to kind of reify. I was always a shy and quiet kid. Um, so when it came to school, I was bullied a lot. I was very heavily bullied in school. A lot of people don't know it because I never told them about it, but I was constantly. I had very few friends, and the few friends I had, thank you. But otherwise, I was a victim of bullying. I had more kids that picked on me than I had friends, and it wasn't just one or two people that that would pick on me. It was a lot. I was just that kid that everybody threw dirt at, not literally, but figuratively. That certainly didn't help. And then as I grew up, I began more and more demotivated. My grades began to drop like a rock. I began to lose interest in sports, and then I hit high school, and I pretty much stopped playing sports in general after my freshman year. I played baseball, basketball, and after that, I just quit. As much as I love baseball and basketball, I had no interest in it anymore, and that's where it really started to show my loss of interest for things that I once enjoyed. I used to love going camping, and now I think about it, and it's something I want to do. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I would enjoy it. It's just all kinds of things other than sitting around other than playing video games. I have no interest or pleasure in anything anymore. So as high school started and I eventually hit 16, 17, and a very big part of my life really hit pretty hard. And it kind of began to tear a lot of things apart. I eventually dropped out of high school. And began to get homeschooled instead because my parents didn't feel that I was getting the help I needed to do things in school, properly. That I needed to be in a different environment because, it wasn't good enough. And I had no interest, and even when homeschooled, I didn't do anything. I didn't finish anything, and it began a big disaster. And it began to spiral to a point where my mom and dad began to fight over who I should start to live with now. My dad wanted me to go live with him because he felt that the living environments in my mom's house were what was doing this. That it was that there were too many distractions. There were too many. That the living environments there for me for motivation just wasn't there. That I wasn't getting the attention I needed. That I wasn't getting the support I needed, and it began this big war that eventually led to the point where I had to choose. And I didn't want to choose. I didn't want to pick one over the other. But I eventually did. I had to. And I chose my mom. Mainly because she supported the one hobby that I wouldn't say ever, but the one hobby that I still enjoy. I wouldn't really say that she supports it, but she's not hateful towards it. She accepts it, I guess you could say. She has always allowed me to indulge in that hobby. And from then on, it's just, it's gone more and more. And I've never talked about it until recently, with a friend, and oh god. And here I am now. Here I am talking about it. My family has never been. I think I'm the only one in my family that's ever been big on video games. And when almost your entire family puts down the things that you love to do, that you love to enjoy, when the people that you look to accept who you are, chip away and put down and openly dislike the things that you have an interest in. There's no one in my family that I can talk to about the things I love. There's no one in my family that I can talk to about the things I love, except for now my little sister. I've never had the luxury of being comfortable in my family because the things that I would like to talk about, they don't like to talk about. They think they're worthless stuff, and I never had that connection with my family that I had always wanted, and that kind of tears you down as a person. Family is very important, but when your family doesn't accept who you are, the things you love, it can really tear you down as a person. Who I am, who I've become today as I make this video. I have worked in food service for a very long time. I worked a little bit in UPS as well with a very smart, fun individual named Stephen Moore. Food service, I don't think I could ever work in food service again. I mean, I would if I had to. I worked for Papa's Pizza for 3 years, and I met one of my best friends today, Chris Lord. He was a manager there, and he was the first person in an outside environment that really made me feel accepted. Fuck, this shit's hard to talk about. God. He's the very first person outside of my home selective, tiny group of friends that I've had for many years, in an outside environment, like, outside of my initial safe haven that would be my home, to accept who I really was. The first adult, I don't think I've ever expressed how much appreciation I have for him. You're watching this, Chris. Thank you. Thank you for being who you are. I've had my friends, very close friends, Craig Wells and Joe Baldwin, since I was very young. But the first you accepting me probably had the biggest impact on my life, and it helped motivate me to become a better person. I began to actually pursue my dreams in some way through trying to make YouTube videos and now Twitching, and they were all because of you. I'm being dead serious. Joe and Craig, you guys have probably been been the reason why I am who I am and how I've become to slowly accept myself, um, become more confident in who I am. Anyways, continue on. This video is like 40 minutes long. Oh shit. Okay, so anyways, I've worked in food service for many years. I eventually got let go at my job for 3 years because I had made a mistake. Um, and that mistake was misunderstood and taken the wrong way, and it led to me being fired on the spot. The only problem I had with this was it was no there was no warning. There was no hey, you made a mistake, let's work on fixing it, or something like that. Basically, I was rolling dough at Papa's Pizza, and we have a certain amount of dough that we're supposed to roll out every day. And when you have the lack of concentration, remembering details that comes with depression, I space out a lot when I'm kind of just going through the motions. And I put the wrong date on some of the dough barrels. Some people I work with, like Sarah, she's seen me do this before an accident and has pointed it out to me so that I could fix it. And I put the wrong date on the dough barrels, and so when the manager Dan came in, he thought that I had tried to skip out on some of my work because I had put the date for yesterday on it instead on accident. And he instantly fired me for it. After that, I went to work at Big Town Hero and was let go 5-6 months in. I don't really know why. I wasn't told why. From my understanding, they just had overstaffed too much. They had just picked up the stores and they had overstaffed. They couldn't afford to pay people, and I was one of the newer ones, so that was my understanding of it. But I had no motivation, or I didn't really care to figure out why or pursue. I just kind of accepted it and, okay, and then I moved on. And then after probably not having a job for a year, one of my best friends, Craig Wells, started a pizza place, and with my 3 years of experience, wanted me to come and work there. And I went down to Tualatin. I met some wonderful, great guys that have become very supportive of me in pursuing my dreams, and just in general are really fun to be around. I became manager there, but the place only lasted a year. I don't think Craig had saved enough money to pay for the losses, and I don't really know. I just remember. Honestly, no offense to Craig or anything. I love the guy, but I never really found any time for personal things when I worked there. I ended up always having to work from 11 to 11 Monday through Friday, almost 90% of the time. And during the weekends were the times I was able to actually, take care of things, like deal with home things and family things, and grocery shop. Like, I had to spend the weekend taking care of home type stuff, and so I never found the time to pursue anything that I really wanted to do when I was working there. I probably spent majority of my time at the pizza place more than anything else. and it was a great experience. I learned a lot by working there. I learned a lot of management um, that I can take to other workplaces. But after that, the place shut down, and I worked at UPS for a little bit as a driver helper, which was really fun. It got very tiring sometimes. 8 in the morning till 9 at night delivering packages. But I did it with a really great and fun individual that made it worlds better. His name was Stephen Moore. I think I mentioned him already. And now I'm where I am. Well, not exactly. After that, I had to leave Tualatin because no other place would hire me. Fred Meyers turned me down because I didn't want to work in the deli. That was the one reason they turned me down, is because you had all this. I was told that what after the interviews they did the group interviews, and which I think is a terrible idea. But I was pulled aside after that, and she asked why I said I didn't want to work in the deli, on the sheet, and I said because, well, she said you have manager experience, you've worked in the food service for 5 years, why don't you want to do it? And I told her that I wanted to look for other things to learn and experience and to get my hands into other things, like the electronics or the home department, or just kind of anything to get that experience. But they turned me down, I guess, because I didn't want to work in the deli. And so I went back home to live with my mother again after a long time, actually. It's been a long time since I'd been home. And I started working for a family friend at the batting cages who really took advantage of me. She tried to cut my pay. I was working under the table, and she tried to cut my pay by saying that this is what it would be with taxes, so this is what I'm going to pay you, instead of paying me the money that we kind of had initially agreed on. She would constantly make up excuses for not having to come into work. So I would end up working, weeks, almost a month straight without a day off or any time to myself. And I don't know why she let me go either. Probably because I eventually just got so tired and I probably messed up on something, I guess. I know that there was probably a lot of complaining about me behind my back. It's just the kind of people that they were. They always talked about people behind their back, but not to their face. To people that they knew anyways. So I assume that things just slowly escalated without me knowing it, and then I was let go, which was fine. I was very unhappy in that work environment. And after I got let go, I said to myself, I have some money to pay for rent for a few months, and I can, I could take the time to pursue something that I love doing, that I feel like is the one thing that maybe I can actually do, because I love talking to people. I don't like customer service, but I love to socialize as much as I'm a pretty big loner. A lot of people don't really know this about me, but I love to socialize. When I sit by myself, unless I'm playing video games, I can't sit here in my own head. I can't, or else a lot of bad thoughts start to flood my head. So I love to talk and socialize with people. And I love to play video games, and so I decided I was going to pursue Twitch. It's something I loved. I love to share my experiences. I love to play video games, and I love to talk to people about video games and things. And so it seemed like something that I would really love doing, and I do love doing it. I do it even today, and it was every time I do it, it's a lot of fun. But it's been almost a year since I started maybe streaming, and I barely do it because every time I wake up and I think to myself, I'm going to stream today, and then I slowly lose motivation. I start thinking that I'm just gonna fail. I'm just gonna fuck everything up. That no one's gonna like me. Um, and it's all kind of reinforced when you tell your family that are like, hey, how's your Twitch thing going? And you try and tell them about it, and you try and get them to maybe check it out, just as like a luxury thing, like a one-time thing, but they still don't. Um, it just feels like, aside from 2, 3 people, that no one really has an interest in me. Because that's what streaming is. It's not really that. There's bunches of other people playing video games that they can go watch. It's you that has to be the interesting one to keep them there. And when nobody wants to even like take a glance at it, it just makes you feel like you're not really there. And people, you can say that I don't need people's validation, but you do. That's what Twitch is people being interested in you. It's not just me playing a game. Anybody can sit down and play a game. And it's something I love doing. Every time I stream, I have fun. And Aturia, Doomy, and those other people that constantly come back to watch my streams, they're wonderful people. They're fun. They're fantastic people. And I'm glad that they found me. I'm glad that they had stumbled across my streams, and I'm glad that I was able to meet them. Video is almost an hour long. Oh my lord. I'm gonna definitely cut a lot of this to try and make it as short as possible. A lot of people don't have an hour to talk about this stuff. But anyways, for everybody who has supported me, to my mom and my dad, I'm sorry I couldn't be the person you wanted me to be, that I didn't pursue a scholarship through baseball or basketball, that I didn't finish high school, that I didn't become this amazing person that you wanted me to be. But this is who I am. And this is my story of depression. I don't think this video will cure it in any way. And if anything, it'll stay the same. But maybe now that it's out in the open, maybe I can look back on it and use it as motivation to power through it, to motivate myself in some way, to motivate other people to talk about it. Even now, I feel like this video might be a bad video to watch, that it might be something that people won't have an interest in, that people won't care. That's just how I feel. But it is what it is, and I have to try. And with these negative thoughts, it's really hard to try. So with this video, I hope that I can begin to overcome this negativity. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this for sympathy. I'm doing it for myself. Those that stayed and watched, I appreciate for taking an interest in my life. And finding out things about me that have been tearing me apart for a long time. Thank you.